the nation of Israel in these last days actually has done, not just for the United States of America, but for all of Western civilization and all the world. There are so many advancements, innovations, new designs, new technologies in the fields of medicine and agriculture and water purification. I mean, you want to talk about desalinization? I mean, I don't even think that's on this list that I'm going to be showing you. But like, you want to talk about water desalinization technologies. Israel perfected that technology. And you get all of these environmentalists and all of these morons that are saying it's like, there's not enough water, we're all, there's going to be famine, there's going to be drought, there's going to be all of these things. And it's like, there's plenty of water on Earth. It's just that the vast majority of that water that's on Earth is undrinkable, as far as just taking a cup or, over to the ocean and, getting yourself a cup of ocean, sea water. It's like, obviously it's undrinkable. But Israel perfected the technology to draw water right out of the seas, right out of the ocean, like out of the Mediterranean Sea, and get the salt out of that water and make it 100% pure, drinkable, healthy water that they can then water their fields. Israel, the land of Israel, as that's what it is the land of Israel, and then in the south it is Judah and Judea and Samaria. It's none of this West Bank nonsense, Jordan. No, it is Israel, the land of Israel. When the Jews returned to the land of Israel in mass in 1947, and then the state of Israel was established in 1948, the whole region was a barren desert. Total barren desert. And yet, because this is a people that overall, not all of them, obviously, we're not talking about on this every individual level, but overall is a moral and God-fearing and just and merciful, compassionate nation that is being obedient to the commandments of God. Overall, God blesses them and makes them wise, truly wise. They have great understanding, and they perfect these technologies like desalinization, where they draw water right out of the Mediterranean Sea, and they turn Israel into this lush garden. You give the Jews a desert, and they will turn it into a paradise. But you give immoral, perverse, and genuinely satanic, evil people like the Palestinians. You give the Palestinians a paradise, and they will turn it into a desert. They will turn it into ruins. They will turn it into rubble. God has blessed Israel to this extreme degree. And here's just a short list: that medical advancements and breakthroughs. We got the Rewalk personal exoskeleton life ward that was created. Global use, adopted in hospitals and rehab facilities globally, improving quality of life for paralyzed patients. That's actually very much so connected with what we're going to be talking about, how Israel right now is prepping for the world's first transplant of a human spinal cord. So Rewalk personal exoskeleton developed by Israel. The pill cam, what it is, it's a swallowable capsule with a tiny camera for visualizing the gastrointestinal tract, enabling non-invasive diagnosis of conditions like Crohn's disease. And global use, it's standard in hospitals worldwide for gastrointestinal diagnoses. The pill cam, Israel, developed by Israel. Copazone, available in over 50 countries, including the US, Europe, and Asia. Groundbreaking drug for treating multiple sclerosis, MS, reducing relapse rates and slowing disease progression. You've got this one-step treatment for knee cartilage regeneration. This Agili C, deployed in the US and Europe with expanding adoption in orthopedic clinics. AI-based diagnostics. Israeli companies have developed AI algorithms for diagnosing cancer, cardiovascular diseases, neurological disorders with accuracy rivaling human specialists. Global use integrated into hospital systems worldwide, including US, Europe, and Asia, enhancing diagnostic precision. Robotic assistant surgery systems that's been adopted in advanced surgical centers globally, including North America and Europe. Computational genetic model for breast cancer out of Tel Aviv University in 2023. Poised for adoption in personalized medicine programs worldwide. Immunity research breakthroughs. Precision medicine biomarkers. Remote monitoring devices. You get to technological advancements and innovations. You've got Waze that was acquired by Google. Waze, which is the GPS navigation app using crowdsourced data for real-time traffic updates and route optimization, developed by Israel, integrated into Google Maps and used by millions in over 185 countries. Every time you go on the road with this thing and you open up Google Maps and you have it tracking every detail of what's going along your path to from A to B, your starting point to your destination, Israel has developed that technology for you. The Mobile Eye was acquired by Intel. It is advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS, using AI and computer vision for autonomous driving. So when it comes to, like, say, Tesla and their autonomous driving capabilities, pretty much comes out of Israel. Global use integrated into vehicles by major automakers like BMW, Volkswagen, and Tesla worldwide. How about the USB flash drives? Like, like the USB, all of that, invented by Israeli engineers at M Systems. It is ubiquitous in computing, used in every country with digital infrastructure. It has used, like, in every country on planet Earth. Developed by Israel. Okay? How about firewall technology? Pioneered by Check Point, the first commercial firewall software protected networks from cyber threats. Developed by Israel. Global use, used by governments, corporations, and organizations in over 100 countries. Intel processors, Israel R&D centers. Israeli engineers at Intel's R&D centers developed key processor architectures, including the 888 used in the first ICBM PC and Centrino mobile technology. Oh yeah, found in billions of devices worldwide, from PCs to laptops. Yeah, what is Israel ever done for the United States of America? What has Israel ever done for the world? Like, everything that we enjoy with all of the advancements in technology, you got all of these advancements in technologies, computer science, medicine. So much of it has come from Israel. Why? Because overall, a people and a nation that keeps the commandments of God, the one and the only true God that's revealed in the pages of the Holy Bible, they keep the commandments of God, and because God is true and faithful, he blesses that people with wisdom and understanding. In fact, not even kidding, IQ tests of general populations have been done, and it has been determined that the Jews generally, they have a 15-point average IQ higher than all these others, particularly the Muslims. Like, when it comes to the average IQ of Muslims and Muslim nations, it's below 100. It's like in the 80s, 90s and 80s, their IQ level, average. But the Jews' average worldwide is 15 points higher than the average, human being. So the average IQ of Jews is literally just higher than other people. Why? Well, don't you think that the God who created this computer, this 3 pounds of gray matter in your brain, in your skull, that runs on sugar, don't you think that the God who is intelligent enough, the supreme intelligence of all the universe and beyond, he who designed this computer, don't you think that he can bless certain computers on planet Earth to be more intelligent than others? And it all comes down to obedience. It always comes down to, are you living in accordance with the will of that supreme intelligence? And if you are, he can upgrade your system, if you will. In fact, the Psalm 19, which is one of my favorite psalms, the psalmist, king, prophet David, he writes in Psalm 19 about the law of God, about the Torah, and how it is perfect. And one of the things that David describes concerning the Torah and those who are obedient to it is that obedience to the Torah, to the commandments of God, can make the simple wise. It can make someone who is simple-minded into someone who is truly wise. Obedience to God. And it goes on and on and on. Intel processors, once again, found in billions of devices worldwide, from PCs to laptops, AI and quantum computing, which powers AI applications in healthcare, finance, and defense globally, drip irrigation systems, which is used in agriculture across 110 countries, including the U.S., India, and Africa. It is that precision irrigation system delivering water and nutrients directly to plant roots, invented by Simca Blas and refined at Natafim. And I don't even know if it does mention desalinization, but it's like, yeah, desalinization, drip irrigation. This is how the Jews, blessed by God Almighty, turned a desert into a paradise. Desalinization technologies and drip irrigation to deliver the precise amount of water exactly where it's needed so that plants, vegetation, flowers, trees flourish. Incredible. Solar window from Orda. Transparent solar panels that generate electricity from windows, developed by Orda, now Solar Window Technologies, piloted in commercial buildings in the U.S., Europe, and Asia. Atmospheric water generators, devices that extract drinking water from air, humidity, even in arid environments. You can extract drinking water from the air. Developed by Israel. That all nations of the world, they will see the wisdom and the understanding of that nation that is obedient to the commandments of God. But, of course, when you have evil people in the world and they see just how extraordinary God is blessing this people, it turns these people that are truly evil, they are jealous of it. They can do nothing but hate, because it's like, well, why don't we have any of that stuff? It's like, oh, maybe it's because your mind has been darkened by the Almighty God because of your wickedness. Because you walk in spiritual darkness, he's going to darken your mind so that you're not going to be blessed in these ways. But for those that walk in the light, they are blessed in these ways. ICQ, the first instant messaging platform developed by Mirabilis in 1996, used by millions globally before its acquisition by AOL, influencing communication platforms worldwide. But other notable innovations, the Cherry Tomato, Sniff Phone, Orcam, My Eye, healthcare, technology, defense, and cybersecurity, economic impacts. Then we get to military, missile defense system with military technologies that have been created. Obviously, we got the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, which has been so successful over its decades of use that it has saved tens of thousands of Israeli lives, if not hundreds of thousands of Israeli lives. So successful, in fact, that we now have President Donald Trump that is going to be using this same technology for the, quote, Golden Dome that he wants to, that he is working to develop over the United States of America. You have the Iron Dome and now the Golden Dome. So it's like, what has Israel ever done for the United States of America? Oh, I don't know. Maybe given us a tremendous amount of military technology. In fact, I don't even think that this is on this list, but it's worth noting that you have, I can't remember exactly what jet fighter this was, but it was a jet fighter that was designed by the United States military, Lockheed Martin, perhaps, and it was that the state of Israel purchased dozens of these jets. This was, back in the day, many years ago. Purchased dozens of these jets. The jets were then sent to Israel, and then the Israeli techs, the actual, the military of Israel, the IDF, they looked at these jets and they improved upon the technology. Particularly, if I remember correctly, it was its navigation systems. They improved on the technology that the United States had originally designed and made the jets far more effective, far greater than what they were before. The United States saw these innovations, and the United States said, "Hey, can we know how you did that?" And Israel's like, "Sure." And they gave the United States the technology to do it themselves. Designed originally by the United States, improved by Israel, and then Israel just gave it to the United States as a gesture of friendship. It's like, sure, here you go. This is what we did with it. Oh my gosh. Why didn't we think of that? So we got the Iron Dome, obviously, with, the state of Israel. We got the Iron Beam, which is a high-energy laser weapon system set for historic development this year, 2025, designed to intercept drones, rockets, and mortars cost-effectively. It complements the Iron Dome by targeting smaller threats with precision, that you can have laser technology, and of course, it's far more effective than shooting up rockets to take down other rockets, because with lasers, it's literally traveling at the speed of light. And you can target your, an incoming rocket, missile, ballistic missile, from a far greater distance, focus on it, heat it up to such temperatures that it causes the rocket, the ballistic missile, to explode in midair. Developed by Israel. The Iron Beam. David Sling, referencing, of course, David going up against Goliath, and modern-day Israel is most certainly going up against the Goliath of Islam, and we're too stupid to yet recognize as a whole that Islam is such a tremendous threat to us, and we're going to be talking about that today. David Sling, a medium to long-range missile defense system targeting cruise missiles, medium-range ballistic missiles, large caliber rockets deployed in 2017, Aero Missile Defense System, Spike Missile Family, which is a series of electro-optically guided multi-role missiles, short-range to non-line-of-sight variants up to 25 kilometers, the Delilah missile, long-range loitering cruise missile with advanced guidance systems for precision strikes on high-value targets. The Merkava tank series, trophy active protection system, Negev light machine gun, the Heron UAV, the Harop loitering munition, orbiter family, cybersecurity, electronic warfare, cyber defense systems, electronic warfare systems, mobile phone tracking systems, OFAC satellite series, the medical and battlefield support, the emergency bandage, which is a homeostatic bandage designed to stop severe bleeding in combat situations, developed by an Israeli medic, adopted by U.S. forces since the early 2000s, used in Iraq and Afghanistan, and standard in NATO militaries, counter-tunneling technologies, K9 tactics, like on and on it goes. It just, the list is literally many dozens of technologies long. And you have such people that their hatred ultimately of God, their hatred of God, their hatred of God's word, and their hatred of God's people causes them to just hate the Jews and say such idiotic things like, what have the Jews ever done for the world? You know, what has a Jew ever done for you? Besides saving my soul, the Jews have done so much for me and for you that I can promise that if it was not for the modern state of Israel, the world would be very, very different today. Very different. So many of the things that you take for granted, that you enjoy day after day after day, that you don't even realize have come from Israel. Israel has been and will continue to be a blessing to all the world. Look at this medical breakthrough. This just happened. Medical breakthrough. This was 2 days ago. No, yesterday is when this was posted. Excuse me. This was September 4th of 2025. Medical breakthrough. A brain tumor was removed through the eye without craniotomy at Ichilov. So in Israel, in Tel Aviv, is a medical center in Tel Aviv, for the first time in Israel, a unique operation performed to remove a skull-based tumor through the eye socket without opening the skull. This innovative procedure, carried out by a multidisciplinary team of doctors, marks a new era in brain tumor treatment. The tumor was removed without damaging brain tissue, with minimal risks, and with maximum preservation of aesthetics and function. How about brain surgery without opening the skull? That we're going to go in through the eye socket in order to perform brain surgery. Just done. Tel Aviv. A unique medical case. You've got the patient suffered from a benign tumor located in an extremely complex area along the skull wall extending into the eye socket. The tumor caused noticeable bulging of the eye and critical deterioration of vision. This was a rare type of I'm not even going to try. There you go. Okay, but simultaneously, it is a benign tumor, simultaneously affecting both the skull and the orbital space, an area considered one of the most challenging and high risk for surgery. An innovative, minimally invasive approach. Previously, such procedures required classical craniotomy, which is the opening of the skull, the removing of bone fragments, and retracting eye muscles and tissues. This method was highly traumatic, painful, and associated with significant risk, obviously. And recently, doctors applied a fundamentally different approach, removing a brain tumor through the eye socket, through a very small incision in the upper eyelid, using an endoscopic camera and ultra-thin instruments. Surgeons gained direct access to the orbit and the skull base. To reach the site, only a small section of the bone had to be temporarily removed, after which the tumor was fully excised. Throughout the procedure, nerves, blood vessels, and ocular muscles were maximally preserved. At the end of the surgery, the bone structures were returned to place through the eye, the skull base was reconstructed with a special fat tissue graft, and the eyelid was closed with meticulous cosmetic precision, avoiding any visible scarring. Like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. It's extraordinary. It is truly extraordinary. And that gets me to this story. The world's first spinal cord transplant to take place in Israel. This was a couple weeks ago when this was mentioned. They're prepping for it right now. Tel Aviv University announced Wednesday, which was about 2 weeks ago, that the surgery will take place in Israel, marking a historic milestone in regenerative medicine. That using a patient's own red blood cells, they're looking to grow a spinal cord and then actually put it in the patient. And while, yes, it's true, over these last several months, I've been frustrated with Elon Musk, I still acknowledge the reality that there's many things that Elon Musk does that are very, very good, particularly how he uses his voice generally for good things. Doesn't mean he's always using his voice for good things, but even recently, Elon Musk has been speaking out against the Islamization of the West. And it's like a guy who reaches over 200 million people on X alone speaks out against the evil of Islam and the Islamization of the West. Okay, that's a very, 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 very good thing. And so very much appreciate Elon Musk and the things that he does in that regard. And when it comes to one of Elon Musk's companies, this is his company Neuralink, he is developing Neuralink beginning with helping people that are, say, paralyzed get over that paralyzation by the implantation of a technological chip in the brain, and then you have these implantations of other technologies down along the spine connecting to the nervous system that will send wireless signals to that chip in the brain so that you simply think, sends a signal from that chip to these technologies throughout the nervous system that then allows the patient to then have mobility. So here you have Elon Musk, who is thinking technology. He's thinking tech in order to solve these problems like patients who are paralyzed. But here we have Israel that's thinking God already designed the perfect machine. God already designed the perfect computer. But when you have such a traumatic injury, say like the severing of a spinal cord, well, why don't we just use what God himself created to heal the problem? Let's just take the patient's own red blood cells and let's regrow a spinal cord and then implant it. And, you know, this story stood out to me also in a personal way, on a very personal level, because my younger sister is paralyzed. That my younger sister, not going to go into details as to how or why, but my younger sister is paralyzed, and she has been paralyzed now for about 4 years. So everything from the waist down, no mobility, no feeling whatsoever. Because right here, pretty much right at like the belly button level, spinal cord severed. So everything below, like useless, no feeling and no mobility at all. And here we have the nation of Israel that comes in with this innovation that let's just use what God created and let's heal the body by what God has done. It's so extraordinary. So extraordinary. So Israel right now is preparing to perform the world's first ever human spinal cord implant using a patient's own cells, a medical breakthrough that could allow paralyzed patients to stand and walk again. Tel Aviv University announced on Wednesday. The surgery, expected in the coming months, will take place in Israel and marks a historic milestone in regenerative medicine. According to the World Health Organization, over 15 million people worldwide are living with spinal cord injuries, my sister included, with the majority resulting from traumatic causes such as falls, road traffic accidents, and violence. Currently, spinal cord injuries cannot be fully cured, so treatment focuses on stabilizing the patient, preventing further damage, and maximizing function. Emergency care often involves mobilizing the spine, reducing inflammation, and sometimes performing surgery to repair fractures or relieve pressure. Rehabilitation includes physical and occupational therapy, as well as assistive devices like wheelchairs and braces, or like the exoskeleton, that Israel designed, before, that we covered. With experimental therapies, including stem cells and robotic devices, are being explored, no treatment yet reliably restores full spinal cord function. Spinal cord injuries are one of the few human injuries where the body cannot naturally heal itself, and the tissue is both structurally complex and extremely sensitive. The spinal cord transmits electrical signals from the brain to all parts of the body. When it is severed by trauma, such as a car accident, a fall, or a combat injury, the chain is broken. Think of an electrical cable that has been cut. When the two ends no longer touch, the signal cannot pass, and the patient remains paralyzed below the injury, explains Professor Tal Davir, head of Segal Center of Regenerative Biotechnology and Nanotechnology Center at Tel Aviv University. Whew, what a mouthful. Who is leading the effort. Davir is also the chief scientist at Matikef, the Israeli biotech company commercializing the technology. Unlike other tissues, spinal cord neurons cannot naturally regenerate, and over time, scar tissue blocks remaining signals. The new procedure aims to replace the damaged section with a lab-grown spinal cord that fuses with healthy tissue above and below the injury. Animal studies in rats have shown remarkable results, with the animals regaining the ability to walk normally. The innovation began about 3 years ago when Davir's lab engineered a personalized three-dimensional human spinal cord in the laboratory. The findings, published in a peer-reviewed journal, Advanced Science, showed that mice with chronic paralysis regained mobility after receiving the engineered implants. The procedure begins with blood cells from the patient, which are reprogrammed into stem cell-like cells capable of becoming any cell type. Fat tissue is also collected to create a custom hydrogel scaffold into which the stem-like cells develop into a spinal cord structure. This engineered tissue is then implanted, replacing scarred areas and reconnecting the nervous system. Like, are you kidding me? All the way down here. That if successful, this therapy could define a new standard of care in spinal cord repair, addressing a multi-billion-dollar market with no effective solutions today. We are proud that Israel is leading this global effort and are fully committed to bringing this innovation to patients worldwide. Our goal is to help paralyzed patients rise from their wheelchairs. The animal model trials showed extraordinary success, and we are hopeful that the results in humans will be just as promising. Oh. Incredible. Incredible. That once again, Elon Musk with Neuralink, he's thinking brain computer chip implants and this technology implanted down through the spinal cord system to send those signals, a totally foreign system in the human body. You got to be so careful with that kind of stuff because it is a very, very, very small step from doing that type of thing for medical issues, medical needs, to transhumanism, where it's like we're now like getting to the point where people are getting brain implants just to connect to the internet types of things. Very, very dangerous, incredibly dangerous direction. I can see the benefit in it if it's solely for medical needs to help, say, patients walk again. But far, far better is avoid all of that nonsense with the technology and use what God created, because you're never going to get better than what God already designed. You will never get better than the computer and the system, the machine that God already created. Using what God created, we have Israelis that are looking to have paralyzed patients walk again, run again, jump again with no foreign implants like computer chips in their bodies. This is Israel. Like, how dare, first of all, how dare do we have all of these people that just hate the Jews because they're just haters are going to hate, but they hate the Jews, and they say such ignorant and arrogant things like, what has Israel ever done for the world? What has Israel ever done for the United States of America? And ultimately, it's an extremely selfish, genuinely selfish position, because what they're really saying is, what has Israel ever done for me? That's what they're really saying. And it's like, well, spiritually and eternally speaking, what God, through Israel, has done for you on an individual's level, if you will be obedient to God, is that he provided salvation for your soul, saving you from eternal torment in a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So that's something. That's just maybe a little something. But beyond that, in the here and now, in this world, what has Israel done for you? A tremendous amount. Like, huge amount. But, these haters, they're going to hate. They're going to hate. And as these people hate Israel and hate the Jews, the covenant between God and Israel is fulfilled that these people are cursed. Because that's the promise. The promise is that if you bless Israel and you seek to be a blessing to Israel, then you will be blessed. That God will bless you directly, but God will also bless you through Israel. You see how that works? That beautiful relationship between us and God's people works? That if we bless Israel and seek to be a blessing to Israel, then God will bless us, and God will also bless us through Israel, as God does, to a tremendous degree. But if we curse Israel, and we seek to be a curse for Israel, well, then God will bring those curses upon us, and will cause us to walk into those paths of darkness. Not that God wants us to walk in those paths, of course not, but he gives us over to our own choices, our own decision. It's like, okay, I've given you my word, I've given you my commandments, I've given you my promise that if you do these evil things, well, the consequence is you're going to be in the hands of Satan, and Satan will have authority in your life to direct you in the paths he wants you to go.